This was so good. I gotta just get right into it. Let's talk about the new film, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. What's up, folks, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the film Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, coming to Disney Plus May 20th. I'm instantly going to say that this film should be in theaters. If it was in theaters, I think it's a no-brainer that this is the biggest and best animated film this year. Or not only just animated film, I would even say biggest and best kid film. The best cartoon adaptation to a movie, everything. Like, it's really that good. Like, I think it should be in everybody's top 3 by the end of the year, regardless of whatever category you want to put this film in animation, the hybrid live action CG animation mixture. Whatever you want to put it in, it's going to be in everybody's top 3 because this film is just really that good. I like this film so much, I did not want it to end. I really didn't. It's so good, but again, it's coming to May 20th, and it truly should be in theaters, but it's going to be on Disney Plus. But like, this film instantly gave me a good impression. I loved it, and I just really didn't want it to end. It did so many good things, so many things I want to talk about, so many things I can't talk about because there is a lot going on in this film. And you won't be at all unsatisfied. It's really that good. But it is fun for all ages, I'll say that. So whether you grew up liking Chip and Dale, it's been about 30 years since Chip and Dale. So 30-year comeback story here. And I think whether you grew up watching it, whether you have never heard of it, you're going to enjoy this film because it gives you a little bit of something for everybody. And again, for all ages. But I can't stress enough, this should have been in theaters. And I think it would have been the biggest and best animation film of the year. And that says a lot. But yeah, again, because this film has all of the nostalgia, the blend of animation styles, and then you adding in that practical live action feel with it, with real actors, human actors and whatnot. You're getting that toon live action fusion type of movie. It really works, and in no circumstance do you kind of look at this, you're like, that looks kind of wonky, it's not really cohesive. No, it's fleshed out really well. So only somebody like Disney could pull something off like this. Like, yes, it's not to say that other studio companies haven't done it, but I just felt like the continuity in this just felt really good. At no point did I just feel like it was just awkward. And I think a really good example is when you look at something like Roger Rabbit, about like how you can tell like it was just kind of like layered on it. This one just felt really fleshed, and obviously Roger Rabbit was some time ago, so I think like, yeah, if you go and like, I feel like there's a little bit of nods to Roger Rabbit in this, I should say. I feel like it just shows you just how far along the technology has came, and like to keep continuously working on it to like make the presentation and production look as best as can. They excelled on that note. The voice acting is top tier. J.K. Simmons, Seth Rollins, Andy Samberg, Dennis Haber. If you know the name, you should already know that's kind of where that's going to go. Eric Bana, just to name a few. I think the cast up and down the board, voice actings and actors, everybody. The voice actors really excel, but I thought that, the cast itself was really stellar. Getting into the rest of the film because it's time to really talk about some of the things that's happening. Now, I want to also kind of give a mindset of what's happening here. Now, the cartoon Chip and Dale was like their job. So this film is like understanding their real life. Understanding when they got that job for the show, how they first met, and everything that's been in between that to where they're at now, where like Chip and Dale aren't really on the same page anymore. Dale decided to take a solo career and double dare something, I don't know. And we know how this goes. Anytime anybody pursues a solo career, there's always some type of dysfunction. and whatnot, and people just kind of go their own ways. Meanwhile, Chip is kind of settled in his life. You know, it's not exciting. It's not like the adventures he's used to going on, but like, it works. It pays the bills, you know what I mean? And he's just kind of content with how things are going to go. But again, this film is like a glimpse into their real life. So like, it's an interesting take on it, and it's special. Now, I gotta say that like, when you see the moment that when they were kids and how they became the friends that they are, it was really special, man. I think a lot of people are gonna resonate with that. You know, the kids who didn't have friends, who was kind of on the outside, that they both were on the outside, so they decided to be friends, and that just really blossomed over time. Like, it was a really special story. So like, this film had a lot of heart. You know, there's a lot of like craziness going on, but it really has a lot of heart. And then to kind of say like, well, their animation styles look different. Well, as I said, Chip sort of just was like content with life, so he kind of kept things how they were. Dale, on the other hand, he got this updated modern look. He got the CG surgery, so that's why he looks the way he does now. So here's the most interesting part of this review, folks. There are a ton of cameos, more than I can count, like way too many than I can count, and I can't tell you because I don't want to spoil them for you, but you're going to be shocked because there's so many, so random, and like, this is a Disney movie, but let me be very clear, no properties were saved. So you saw properties from NBC Universal, Warner Discovery Media, whatever they're called now. Like, you're seeing folks from all over in this, and I'm just gonna say, you know, the whole idea of like, you go to a Comic-Con, you just never know who you're gonna see. In this case, they got FanCon. You just wait. So many random properties, characters, and people showing up out of nowhere is so hilarious. That's still not the beef of what's happening in this, but like, for that, the shock value on that, you're just not going to be ready. And it's so good, so funny, so entertaining. Oh man, it's so much to talk about. And I got to be honest, in the cameos too, they do have like they have a bit of sense to them. It's not like just dropping a name to drop a name. And when I say cameos, there are like actual appearances, and there's actually like Easter eggs and references as well too. But they're not just like naming things just to name them. Like, they actually have context to them. And that's what's so interesting about it, because like, you know, the whole idea of you ever wondering like, hey, whatever happened to like that property, that cartoon, that character, and like, they kind of address it because of what's happening in this film. They kind of address it like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And like, some of them are so attached to pop culture, and I can even go as far as almost saying social media, that it's so funny how they kind of tied that, intertwined that all in together. It's really good. It's really good. I died laughing left and right, like for real. Like, it was so random, but so freaking good. But anyway, let's get into it now. So like, you know, here's the thing. Everything was on an up and up with Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. The show was doing good. They, you know, it's one of the most popular shows of that era, you know, and that's, you know, from a fan looking into it, because again, the movie is a glimpse into the real life. So it's like, for everything that they've been doing, the little cameos, the other little things that they've been doing before they actually landed the show. And if you notice, if you know, then you know, like, it wasn't just like a set of characters created for a show. Like, they were like, they were characters before they had the show. So like, understanding like how that kind of came about, and like sort of like the backstory to it, it's like really cool. But like, yeah, and then it became one of the most popular cartoons until Dale wanted to start his new solo career. And again, as we know, 9 times out of 10 solo career, things typically don't go out the way they think it's gonna go. So yeah, he had this opportunity for Double O Dale, and thus Rescue Rangers was canceled, and so was Double O Dale, because that's eventually what happens. So the two kind of went their own way, because like, you know, Chip didn't want that to happen. He already knew. He saw it from a distance. Like, listen, if you take that opportunity, then we're done. And he's not saying like we're done between the two of them as friends, but he's saying like they're going to cancel our show, and they did, and thus they kind of went their own way. So you have Dale, who's kind of making Comic-Con appearances and whatnot, and Chip just doing his own thing. He's selling insurance and whatnot. He has his dog, he has a house, he has a very stable lifestyle that he's content with. But nonetheless, Monty returns, and Monty returns because he needs help. It's a new adventure, and of course he needs the team, the band, to get back together. And what happens is that Monty is suspicious of bootlegging. And bootlegging, this is so funny. This is so good. I love the writing in this film because it's so good. Bootlegging about, the knockoff versions of popular franchises, cartoons, and characters. Those fake me out versions of things you be seeing. Oh my God, they're all over the place. I seen a fake one of Doctor Strange earlier, and I was like, what? But he basically was explaining to Chip and Dale as he individually asked them to come help him on this investigation because he knew that like people were being targeted. So he brought them together to kind of like bring awareness to them. And of course, the two of them haven't seen each other in a while, so this was a little awkward, but yet it's like it's their bread and butter. It's what they do. And he's kind of like, listen, people are being kidnapped and abducted to then be turned into these, generic versions of themselves to then film these bootleg versions and whatnot, which is so funny because it's like, if that's really like the idea of like how that kind of goes about, that's absolutely hilarious. You know what I mean? I mean, he's kind of like, listen, so be aware of what's happening. But then Monty mysteriously disappears, which we tend to think that Monty disappeared because of the same thing he was warning them about got him. That now gives them 48 hours until Monty becomes a knockoff version of himself. So with that being said, listen, there's two things to kind of bring into play here. One, they need to rescue Monty. That's their homie. Two, Dale is also really lobbying to Chip to like, hey, we need to do a reboot. Like, the streets are calling. We need a reboot. Everybody wants it. There's a Facebook fan group that demands a reboot. And that's what his whole pitch is. And he's really trying to crack Chip to make him rekindle the feelings about everything that they've been through. They've been day one friends, so like, yeah, going down that nostalgia lane is clearly going to spark some emotions, but it's just a matter if Chip is willing to take that chance, because he still holds a little bit of resentment towards Dale and the decisions he's made and whatnot. And Dale also needs to kind of learn a little bit of accountability for the decisions he's made as well too. But ultimately, they have a goal, and that's saving Monty. And they got 48 hours to do so. So like, with that being said, like, that's kind of like how the story kind of goes about and whatnot, preventing Monty to becoming one of those bootleg characters to have to film one of those bootleg movies. It is so freaking funny. And beyond that, they do a lot of other random little things. Like, they got this whole, as like Chip is kind of like going down this little, reflection walk. He sees like a poster of Fast and Furious Babies, Mr. Doubtfire, which I think is probably not I don't think people will be opposed to that. I mean, everybody loves Robin Williams, but if they did a Mr. Doubtfire, I think that would be pretty interesting. And they had this other poster of Batman versus E.T., and he actually decides to go watch that movie, which is, again, no property is safe. It's the funniest thing ever, you know what I mean? But like I said, there's so many references, funny callbacks and nods to popular pop culture, nostalgia, even callback to some of the original Chip and Dale episodes, which was like really good for the hardcore fans. There was a lot of things I was able to pick up on that I really, really, really love. Now, obviously we know who our protagonist is, but our antagonist is Sweet Pete, and you're just not going to be ready for that. Sweet Pete is pretty much the head of this whole bootleg operation, and that's just the most shocking but funniest thing ever. It's so freaking funny. They do some callbacks to, like I said, to the original Chip and Dale a series, a cartoon, And you ever knows when they used to always hit Dale in the head to make the birds come out? They actually flipped roles here, and it was really funny how they went about with that. And I thought that was special that they had that moment because, yeah, that was kind of like the running gag with it. You know, like in South Park where Kenny always died. This was their version of it. So it was really cool for them to do that, but kind of flip the roles a little bit. But as I said, like, listen, this was so good. There's a lot I can't talk about, but you're not going to be ready for the different cameos, references, all sorts of craziness that are happening in this series. And you have got to stay through the entire credit scene. Because you're getting some really cool images, some really cool animation, transitions. The new rendition of the Rescue Rangers song is so catchy, done by Post Malone. It's really cool. I like it. But I gotta say, there's a certain cameo at the end of the post-credit that I was wondering would this character make an appearance in the film. And then when I saw it in post-credit, I said, yes! That's how you know how aligned I was with everything that was happening in this. And I gotta say, things get dangerous. Things get dangerous if you catch my drift. But it's a fantastic film. I had chills watching it. Brian Tyler on the score, the production, the acting, voice acting, everything did really, really good. Very cohesive. The animation, this hybrid style of animation that they did in this is super good. Like the hybrid live action and CG animation, action, comedy all together in one. Really good. I'm happy that everybody can see it on Disney Plus, but man, I wish this had been in theaters. This is just that deserving. I feel like being in theaters is an accomplishment deserved for certain films in the statute, and I feel like this is one that would have knocked it out if it would have been in it. It's really, really that good. And you know, it's just fun to see them after 30 years catching up with their life now that they're living in LA, kind of kicking back, trying to figure out, you know, what's next for them. And you know, getting the band all back together was really special, and I really need more of this right now. This is a film, folks. It's a no-brainer. You check it out. Come back in the comments, let me know your thoughts about it. Again, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, fantastic film. One of my favorite films this year. Man, I seen two of my favorite films in the last 2 weeks, this and Top Gun, and I don't know what's going to be able to top these out. I think this is definitely my favorite animated film this year, not even a question. And it's a hybrid, so it plays in both things. And I think when you think about other films like that, like Sonic, I think I enjoyed this way more than I enjoyed Sonic. I don't even think it's close. I think this was just that good. Sonic was really good, but I think this is like better. So you let me know your thoughts about it when you check it out. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon. Big gold bell.